Okay. Martin's here. I'm just going to wait another minute or two to see if the area director arrives. I know he was planning to attend, and we'll start in a minute or two. Might be him here. And it is.
They had ice cream, so I had to stop on my way. That's my excuse for being late.
Excuse me?
My excuse for being late is that they had ice cream.
They had what? They had ice cream and I missed it? Oh, that was an oversight on my part. Of course, all of this is being recorded for posterity. Maybe I'll see if I can get them to take the first minute or two off. um, okay, so with that, we will go ahead and get started. Um, this is the so David, I see that you're asking if are you hearing the audio now? Okay, excellent. Um, so we'll go ahead and get started. This will be a pretty quick meeting. Um, sorry, I'm sharing this. That's okay. This is an official meeting of the IETF. This is the Notewell, which is all of the rules and policies and procedures by which we operate. You have agreed to abide by these when you registered for this meeting. Any email or other activity that you do in conjunction with the IETF applies to all of this. Um, some additional reminders. These meetings are intended for professional collaboration and networking according to the guidelines of the Code of Conduct. Um, we want to have an environment that's positive for everybody from all different backgrounds and identities. So you are not to engage in any harassment while at IETF meetings. And if you believe you have been harassed, please notify uh, or that you notice somebody else is being harassed, raise your concerns with one of the ombuds team. Um, the meeting tips, if you are in person, be sure that you have signed in through the QR code to be uh, accounted for in this meeting. I know this is a really small group, but we will be using the queue, so please use the queue. We do have a few of our active participants are online today. Um, so please do use the queue tool for that. Um, the um, and obviously, if you're using the on-site version, please don't use the audio. Remote participants, make sure your audio and video is off unless you're chairing or presenting, and use of a headset is strongly recommended. So, with that, uh, Dieter, our co-chair, is online. I think he flashed up a minute ago. You might have seen him. Um, he will be taking minutes for this session. Uh, we have for the last several meetings, we are using the Notepad online note tool for this meeting. The uh, draft agenda is already there, and Deirdre will be taking notes in that notepad. So if you want to contribute in any way, double check them, add to them, whatever, please, please make use of that capability. I know it looks like we have a long agenda today, but a lot of these are really, really quick updates or, in essence, no update at all. So it should be moving. We should move pretty rapidly through this. Are there any questions or updates to the agenda? All right. So then, in that case, moving on, the sort of the document status update review. We do have a new RFC. The update registries document has been published. It's RFC 9748, and which is excellent news. Congratulations to Rich Sauls for the work that he did there. I wonder why. Are you wondering?
Is the microphone working here in the room? Yes, because it says it's a little bit low for remote people.
It's low for remote, so I should speak
Okay,
up. Okay, it might just be me. So thank you to Rich Sauls and to everybody that helped to get that document out. We have two documents that are in the RFC editor queue. One is the interleave modes document, and the other one is the PTP enterprise profile, which technically is a TikTok document, but we are working on that document here to finish it, and then we will officially close TikTok. So each of these documents have been in the queue for a while, so I expect that they will be published shortly. And then the fourth document that has graduated out of the working group is the NTP over PTP. And I have a draft Shepherd write-up for that, and I'll be completing that shortly and sending that on to the ISG as well. One note about that particular document is that it is, in some ways, it has been coordinated with the IEEE 1588 group. We will put a note to that effect in the Shepherd write-up, but it is, we had a joint meeting with them, and Miroslav incorporated all of the changes that were requested for it, and so it will be moved forward in that manner. So the next thing is the NTP v5 requirements document. We've had some discussions. We did a working group last call on this. There was a bunch of comments. There has not been an update to it in quite a while, and the document has expired. Dieter and I took a look at that document. There are some additional changes that need to be made. And in addition to that, the current version has not been uploaded to Data Tracker. So I think we could use a little bit of help if anybody wants to get their feet wet. We could use another editor on that document. So if anybody's interested in that, please step forward. There is some discussion about whether we need to publish a requirements document or not, but I think we are going to go ahead and, at the very least, get it out of the working group and send it on to the IESG, and then they can decide whether to publish it or not. So if you are at all interested, please see me or email me. I guess that's a more appropriate answer. So the next item is the NTP. Oh, sorry. The next item is the NTP v5 protocol specification. I did get an email from Miroslav. He is unable to make this meeting. There are no big updates to this document. It does need some new, it does need some additional review. So if we could get some additional review on that, it would be really helpful. I'm making sure I quote him correctly in this. It needs more feedback, especially the reference IDs that are based on the Bloom filter. And I know that there has been some suggestion from David on how to improve that filter. And so he will look into that. The talk about this a little bit more later, but we're hoping to have a NTP v5 hackathon in July in conjunction with the Madrid IETF. And we would like to get as many implementers as possible on that. Does anybody have any questions on any of the NTP v5 work? Well, yes. No, go ahead. I'll wait for you.
It's David Ru from Huawei Technologies. So I took a look at the NTP v5 protocol specification, and there's additional some fields to be added. But since this is my first meeting, so I don't know the context. Is there any document or slides indicates the algorithm attached to those fields? Because, for instance, if you want to add some kind of clock indication timestamp, why this is needed? What kind of performance improvements together with those timestamp, for instance, get added? Is there any documents about that?
There's no specific documents about that with respect to NTP v5.
So
David,
the reason I ask about that is we look at this, the timestamp doesn't help. But we also have some other ideas, maybe with other timestamp can further improve the accuracy of the time synchronization. So, but yeah, don't know where to compare basically.
So you're looking at different timestamp formats.
Exactly,
for the NTP
exactly.
protocol.
All formats or different source or something. I noticed that in the spec there's a timestamp. I think receive timestamp, right? Yeah.
Can you repeat that last sentence? I'm sorry, I can't hear it.
I noticed there's a timestamp extension field with a timestamp in the spec 5, right? But I simply just want to ask what kind of algorithm are attached to that.
Yeah, there have been no algorithms attached to that at this stage.
But how do you justify why we need this timestamp then?
Well, it's a extension field. It's not required.
But does that mean? I mean, if that's the case, it doesn't mean that's if we propose some other timestamp, it can also be accepted or not. So I don't really get. Sorry.
Oh no, I mean NTP v5 is not intended to change the timestamp format used within the protocol itself, because we're looking at backwards compatibility with previous generations of NTP v5. How you take that information and turn it into a local clock, and what that timestamp looks like locally is an issue that's independent of that.
Yeah, I understand. I don't mean change the formats. I just say
Additional
probably
precision.
an additional resource or information. Yeah, because you have to extend the field anyway, right?
Okay, David, are you in the queue for this or for something else?
I'm in the queue for this, yes. I wanted to provide some extra context. So the idea, at least, I think this is also where Miroslav is coming from. It's definitely where I am coming from in my input to the specification, is that with NTP v5, we move more towards the protocol is only doing the time transport, and it's not telling you how to steer the clock. So it's not, we're not intending to be prescriptive with how the clock is steered. There's differing opinions on this within the working group, especially from the people who come from the reference implementation, but at least for Miroslav and for me, that is where this draft is coming from in large part. I think the specific extension field you're referencing is the reference timestamp extension field.
Exactly.
Yeah, that one is essentially there as a way of, hey, we had in NTP v4 this reference timestamp. We don't think it is necessary anymore. In NTP v4, it was basically used to indicate the last time you were synchronized to an external clock. Should you still want to transport that information over the network, this reference field is essentially what it's for. I hope that provides a little bit of the context. I'm still not clear on what you'd want to do, but please
Yeah.
post something
So,
on the mailing list with more details if you want to.
well, thanks for the clarification. I think that makes sense. While what we intend basically is to further improve the accuracy of the time synchronization, and we find that the reference timestamp or maybe from another source can further contribute to that. So I just heard that there will be a hackathon in July, so probably we can also join and then present something in July's meeting.
Yeah, that would be excellent if you could do that. I do want to reinforce what David was saying. I didn't really parse the question this way, but it is our intention to separate the protocol from the algorithms this time, and in that way, the protocol will just be about exchanging the time information, and what you do with that information will be what the algorithms are, and there will be other additional documents that could be specified about that going forward. So you might create an algorithm that works better in an environment that requires high precision time or something like that.
Yeah,
and
yeah, I agree. We don't need to mix those three, but I'm actually looking for the other document.
yeah, we're yeah.
Okay.
I
yeah.
look forward to having you participate in the hackathon. That'd be wonderful.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions or comments on the NTP v5 work? Okay, the rough time. The authors of that are also not here. We did have a virtual interim in February. The rough time work, they did a quick update to the specification. We've changed it to experimental from standards track, and we will be starting a working group last call, probably a little bit extended because because we're coming right up at the point that we're coming out of an IETF meeting. So we'll probably do like a 3-week call. Later in this session, we'll talk about the plan to have another virtual interim in the April timeframe. And so the idea is to have the working group last call close prior to the next virtual interim that we're planning to schedule. Are there any questions on rough time? Next on the agenda is the NTS for PTP. Martin, did you want to talk a little bit about the status of that document and the next steps?
Yes. Hello, everyone.
Hi, Martin.
So, yeah, about NTS for PTP. So since last official IETF meeting, we have a new version of NTS for PTP. So Rainer and I uploaded the new version last month ago. It's currently version 01. We have many small and bigger improvements. For example, we removed text duplicates. We removed all parts which are not strictly necessary for the protocol. For example, heartbeat mechanism to reduce the total number of pages. And we added new text parts to the documents regarding replay protection, startup replay protection, how to transmit security data between the PTP nodes using the REST field in the authentication TLV. This text part is not final. We need to make some decisions at the IEEE Security Subcommittee. This is therefore a first possible solution how we can solve it, but it's not final. And some parts of the document are also missing. Security considerations and IANA considerations are currently not into this current version of the document, but we add them pretty soon. And at this stage, I guess we are pretty far. Of course, we need more optimizations. I found other small typos and errors, which will be fixed in the next update. But I guess it's currently a pretty complete document right now. besides of this document, I'm working on the reference implementation on NTS for PTP. I guess I can start the first test in July. This is the current plan. And just to see that everything works as expected and that I can run different tests also to see the security mechanisms works as expected. I also received some comments from Miroslav a few months ago. We also add the comments, for example, a table with the security objectives to the document to provide a better overview about the key features and the security objectives. And yeah, this is the current state of the document. And yes, for PTP.
All right. Do you have a time frame for the next update to the document?
At least August before it's expired, maybe earlier. So if I run the first tests, I guess then I can put the new update. So maybe July, maybe in June, but I'm not quite sure. There's many business trips in June, so more July, I guess.
Okay. All right. The interim steps would be helpful. So if you could get
Yeah,
update up
course.
a little, August would be a little bit late. It'd be nice
Okay, okay.
earlier than that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the big part is, of course, some decisions which be made at the IEEE to move forward for specific questions on how to transmit informations between the PTP nodes. So this is definitely a part which
Okay.
we have to clarify, but I guess we're making progress. So yeah.
Exactly. David, you're in the queue.
Yeah, I was wondering, in the document currently, we have a beginnings of a table of MAC algorithms. As far as I can tell, there's at least one other IETF standard that also uses MAC algorithms. I forget. I thought it was IPsec, but I'm not 100% sure on that one. But there doesn't seem to be sort of a shared table for these things like there is for the AEADs. Is there sort of any sort of pathway in which we could start to do that instead of having to duplicate the work of assigning identifiers and such to these MACs for both algorithms at the same time, for both algorithms, or and is there even any interest in that from this side?
Maybe we can create something like this. Yeah, for us AID algorithms, this is pretty good. We have a current list at Diana, which can be increased, but I'm not aware of a list for MAC algorithms. Possibly IPsec. I have to check it. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, it's definitely it's a good thing to have something like that because other implementation can use the same table and the same IDs. This is definitely which is helpful for the implementation and the document. Yeah.
Okay, in that case, I'll also bring it up during the security common thing later in the week in hopes of getting into contact with people about that. Because I have no idea what the proper forum for this one would be.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good.
All right. So David, when you said you're going to bring it up in the security common thing, are you talking about the SAG meeting later this week?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. All right. Are there any other additional questions on the status of the NTS for PTP work? Martin alluded to this, but the plan is to have a hackathon project on the NTS work as well in the July timeframe. I've talked to a few people about some potential for soliciting additional implementers. So we basically hope to have a time-related project with the NTS and the NTP v5 activities. I think both of them are at a stage where they can use some can gain some improvements from the experience of a hackathon. So we will be trying to be a little bit more organized about that and get some people on the table in advance. All right, nothing else on NTS for PTP. The next item I wanted to ask about, I don't imagine there's been a lot of changes since we last discussed this, but I wanted to double check. David, if you have any updates on your NTS for PTP pools work.
Yeah, so I think you mean NTS for NTP pools, but because I'm not aware of any PTP pools. We're working on it. I'm currently, unfortunately, not in a position that I can share much. Although we're preparing to do another implementation push at this point. And in that process, we'll likely also update the draft a little bit with the gained information. I think that's about what I can say for now.
Okay. And just curious, you said you thought I meant, did I not say NTS for NTP?
No, you said NTS for PTP pools.
Oh, sorry. I'm still jet lagged. All right. The one side note to that, taking my chair hat off, is when you are ready for potential additional participants in that pool, I might have a candidate or two for you. But you know, you all need to be ready to. When you all are ready, I have some my side of the Atlantic based resources that might be able to participate as well. So.
That is good to hear, and hopefully in a few months we'll be at that point.
Okay.
We'll see.
Excellent. So the next item I wanted to do a really quick 1588 update. So IEEE 1588 is continuing to plug along, doing all of their time work. There's a couple, 3 items that I wanted to bring to folks' attention. The first one is there is a plan, well, actually a requirement to do a roll-up revision. There have been enough amendments now that IEEE requires a roll-up revision, so that work has been approved and is moving forward. That revision will not incorporate any new changes. It will merely roll up all of the amendments that have been approved thus far. The second item is the security working group for the security subcommittee for IEEE 1588 is working on a draft PAR for enhanced security. And that will include fixes to the authentication TLV based on feedback from David and this community on concerns about that TLV. It will also include extensions to allow for NTS for PTP. So the NTS for PTP work is being coordinated closely with the PTP working group. The third activity I wanted to bring to folks' attention is the IEEE 1588.1 work, which is the client server PTP. This is a simplified version of PTP that looks a lot more like NTP, client server based, unicast type mode. And there is some discussion about what the security will look like on that, but the initial decisions about what CSPTP is going to look like are probably going to happen in the next few months. There was a interim meeting in February. There was a face-to-face meeting in February where we discussed different proposals for what CSPTP might look like. And there's a current effort to sort of bring those proposals together and to make a decision on a baseline starting point that we can begin to move forward with. And once that baseline starting point has been determined, then we're going to start immediately looking at how NTS or some modification of NTS might apply to CSPTP. So I just wanted this community, this working group, to be aware of that work going forward. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and ask. Does anybody currently have any questions? Nope. Okay. So the last item I had on the agenda was just an ITU leap seconds. I put decisions. It should have said discussions. So the ITUR is continuing to look at the issue of leap seconds, and BIPM is soliciting input from standards bodies on how any decisions made about leap seconds might be associated with their work. So the I'm not exactly sure of the mechanism to do this yet. I've had some conversations with a couple IAB members about how we might submit a statement about our feelings on leap seconds. I know the 1588 is working on a statement. I would imagine our statement would be very similar to theirs in the sense that, you know, whatever you do, you know, either keep it as it is or delay leap seconds. Don't create a new model for leap seconds going forward. I don't have a strong sense of what a statement would look like or even how we would submit one. But I do think we want to at least be identified as a standards organization that will be impacted by any changes to leap seconds going forward. So if you are interested in that discussion or would like to help, and when I say a liaison statement, I'm talking like a couple paragraphs. I'm not talking about, you know, a PhD dissertation or anything like that. It's just something that in general, I mean, this is a conversation that's been going on in ITUR for years and years and years, and they still haven't really made a final decision on how they want to handle it. So any questions on that? Oh no.
I put myself on the queue. Is there anything public that we can follow about this? Or are these all happening sort of deep inside closed doors? You have to be members of the right organization, meetings, something?
I'm not exactly sure. I'm not actually in those meetings. So I've been exposed to them from sort of the outside.
Okay.
I'm sure there is. We just need to track down and figure out what the right information is. I see Martin. Well, oh, you are in the queue. That's Eric. So I see Martin in the queue. Martin might actually have a perspective. I know that they've been following, at least Christoph has been following this issue to some extent. So Martin, did you want to add anything?
Not very much. I asked with Christoph. He is currently at the ITUR meeting right now, and he said he would like to communicate with the NTP working group by email. So maybe if you have more information, he sent an email, or if you want to know more information, you can also ask Christoph directly over the working group channel. So currently, I have no further details. He just said, okay, he is currently at the ITUR meeting, and he gives information over the working group email channel.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was at the ITUR meeting this week. He did send an email to Doug Arnold and myself about these activities, and it has to do with, if you follow the numbers, it's ITUR's resolution 655, and I have a couple of documents. I just have no idea what the status of those documents is. So I guess the short answer is we need to double check with Christoph when he gets back from ITUR and see what he can tell us. And so we'll discuss this again in April when we have a virtual interim meeting. But it would, in a lot of ways, it would be nice to see leap seconds to some extent go away. But yeah, we're going to have to wait and hear from Christoph. Maybe he'll have a better idea of what to tell us. But there has been a solicitation asking for what standards bodies are interested in this space. David, you want to say something?
Yeah, I had a short question. How does this ITU discussion relate to the decision that was made at the Bureau for Measures, I think about a year ago now, about leap seconds? Because I'm losing track of how all these organizations interrelate, I think.
Yeah, well, you wouldn't be the only one. I'm not exactly sure which decision you're talking about from BIPM. You said Bureau of, are you talking BIPM?
Yes, BIPM.
All right. So the documents I have is or one of the documents that I have is find the exact wording before I misquote myself. Well, I guess I should turn that around. The document that, the way 1588 is approaching this is working on a liaison that would go to BIPM and be part of their package of information that would go into ITUR. And so I think the BIPM made their recommendation, but the decision is actually an ITUR decision because they're the ones that standardize the timescales. They're the ones that define like TAI and UTC and all of that. And so they're the ones that have the authority to make changes to it.
Okay, that explains a lot to me.
I'm not sure if that answer was serious or sarcastic. Did it really explain something or?
Yes, that was a serious answer. Sorry for
Okay.
the sarcastic sound.
Well, no, I just, it's like sometimes when people say, well, that's clear now. It's not actually that clear. The reason why, I mean, I haven't followed this closely, I will say in another iteration of my, I mean, it's probably 20, 25 years ago that I was involved in generating a statement on how nice it would be to get rid of leap seconds the first time ITUR had this conversation. So this is not a new topic in ITUR. So maybe they'll do something. Maybe they'll make a change this time. So we'll see. All right. So with that, any other questions on that topic? If you're at all interested and would like to help write a couple paragraphs, please reach out. The last, oh, it's not my Meet Echo window, is it? All right, so the last slide is any other business. So as I mentioned, we do plan to have a virtual interim. Dieter and I have worked on this, and we're going to schedule it for the 22nd of April. It's like shortly after Easter at 1600 UTC. And I'm hoping to have in particular, the working group last call results from rough time, and I'm also hoping to have a updated V5 requirements draft in advance of that meeting. And then the second thing is we do plan to do a hackathon activity at IETF 123. I'm going to try starting to organize that now. And the subjects will be NTS and NTP V5, and it'll be Madrid the weekend before IETF 123, like previous hackathons that we have done. And with that, I have come to the end of my agenda. Does anybody have anything else that they would like? All right. Thank you for thank you for participating. And if anybody is interested in, well, first of all, please review, especially NTP V5 document. I think Miroslav has been calling for reviews for that document for a while now. And if anybody is willing to help edit the requirements document, please volunteer. And with that, I give you 20 minutes back in your day.
preferred version of training, let you know how fast you need to read it, and then you need to understand whether I'm up to date enough to be able to help.
Okay.
But anyway, I'll review.
Yeah, no, I saw you. Somebody that can solve this problem. But yeah, no, I really appreciate that. And you think you can get this back?
I hope so. Oh, that's true. There's going to be a lot of IETF knowledge necessary. Plus, I mean, some things happened in just the last day and a half. People are like, we should stick around because we need you to be here so it's considered all that piece of work. So I'm like, don't really want to do another 2 years of this. Somebody who has been on sessions that people fail their relationship frequency and yeah, I can see how from their perspective and there's certain assumptions that I would say I don't think it is unequivocally true because I had to try and make moves. That's the problem. It's not like there are no qualified people out there that we know of.